Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the 2025 BMW M340i and the 2025 Audi S3. Now the 340s start at $59,600 versus $48,700 for the Audi. However, in today's review, the Audi costs just over $61,000 with the Premium Plus package, and the 340 is just over $64,000. So in today's video, we have a fully loaded Audi S3 and more of a base model M340i.
Now underneath the hood, this is powered by the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the 7-speed automatic, and it pumps out 328 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the Quattro all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,500-pound sedan from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It has a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 14.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 23 miles per gallon in the city, 31 out on the highway. Now this is powered by the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the hybrid motor along with the 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 386 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque. This model has the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,900-pound sedan from 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. It also has a top speed up to 180 miles an hour. It has a fuel capacity of 15.6 gallons. You'll expect to see around 23 miles per gallon in the city, 31 out on the highway. Now as we take a look at the exterior styling, it definitely has a great look to it. Take a look at the LEDs for the lights as well. The DRLs have a unique look to them with all of these different lighting elements within the upper section, and then the headlights, high beams, and the lower lights have a great look too. The turn signal goes through the middle of them, which is a neat look. Now there's the new Audi badge in the front. There's also a lot of cutouts along with the sensors. And then in the lower section, you'll notice more inlets on both sides, more cutouts in the middle, and then the hexagonal grille is still retained. It just has a little bit of a tweak to it, but I think it gives it a great look. There's also 4 distinctive lines that come down the hood as well, meeting the top of that surround. Now as we work our way back to the front end for this M340i, it does have the M Sport Pro package, which provides it with all the gloss black. So you'll notice that for the kidney grille, where there's also active grille shutters and a forward-facing camera. There's also LEDs for the lights up front. With that dark housing, they go off of the side of that kidney grille very nicely. There's also parking sensors up front, a lot more cutouts and inlets to provide additional cooling as needed. And the trim accents on both sides give it a really nice contrast. And then there's some subtle lines that come down the hood. Now as we work our way to the side, this model has a 2-tone design for these wheels with that multi-spoke pattern. There's also the red S-line brakes. This model does get a lot of carbon fiber accents too. So those are on the mirror caps, where there's also the turn signal. There's gloss black for the lower side skirt. It's around the entire window trim. And then this model also has a sunroof up top too. And then very clean lines that run down the side. I like the bulges in that front and just behind the rear tire there. Gives it a great angular look. Now the M340 also has a really nice set of 2-tone wheels along with the M Sport brakes. They are finished off in red for this model. This has gloss black for the power folding side mirrors, which have a camera and a turn signal. There's a sunroof up top, and then all of the window trim is blacked out as well. And then there's some really nice definition in that lower side skirt, as well as some nice subtle lines that run down the side. There's also more carbon fiber for this trunk mounted spoiler with a new Audi badge, backup camera. There's LEDs for the lights in the back, all of the parking sensors too, the quad tip dual exhaust, which is an option for this S-line exhaust, and then gloss black for the entire lower section there. Now as we work our way to the cargo space, you can use the button on the key fob or the one up underneath, where you have a good bit of space for this smaller size sedan. There's also a hook over on this passenger side, so you can place some groceries there. You can also fold down the back seats to give yourself that much more interior space, and you do get a little bit of space underneath the floor if you need to use that. There's one grab handle on that passenger side there. And back, there's a small gloss black trunk mounted spoiler. There's the backup camera, the dark housing for those LEDs. There's also parking sensors, and then some more gloss black in the lower section and that dual exhaust. Now this does have remote start, so you can use the key fob for that if you would like to. You can also use the key fob to release the trunk or use that tab up underneath. Now there's no power trunk for this specific model, and you get a storage bin on both sides. There's also no storage underneath the floor. but you can also fold down the back seats. So simply pull on both of those tabs, and that will give you a lot more interior space, making this that much more practical. Now you have this lip on the underside here, so you basically have a grab handle behind the entire trunk liner there. And then as we work our way to this interior, there are proximity door handles in the back, so you can lock and unlock this, which is very nice. Now for this door panel, there's Alcantara, there's also the Sonos audio. You get a little bit of storage in the lower section. Really cool design with the ambient lighting there leading to the release handle, and then the brushed gray for that grab handle. And then this does have the Napa leather interior with the stitching that runs down the inserts. And at 5'10", as I hop into the back, it has a good bit of space. There's storage nets, there's also vents with auxiliaries and a temperature dial just underneath that. And then at my height, I am just barely touching the headliner. This is a small sedan from Audi, but I could ride around town a little bit on the tight side, but I could sit and be comfortable. Right in the middle, you can pull down this armrest where you get 2 cup holders. And then here's a look at visibility from the back. You have those additional windows to give you a little bit more lighting. Now as we work our way to the interior, this does have the proximity door handles, so you can unlock it, where we are greeted now with the Canberra Beige interior. Really nice combo with this exterior blue. So you'll notice the two-tone on the door panel. There's also the brushed aluminum interior lighting. It's on the release handle too, and then there's additional storage down below. And then at 5'10", hopping into the back, I have a good bit of space. There's no storage pockets behind both front seats, however, but you have your vents, your climate adjustments, USB-Cs, and then at my height, I have maybe ½ inch or less of headroom. So if you're taller than me, 3 Series is a little bit on the smaller side, but it's definitely doable for smaller adults to fit in the back. Now right in the middle, you do get the armrest along with the cup holders, and then you can also fold down this middle seat individually if you would like to. There's also a good bit of visibility, so the pillars in the back are thin there. Now on this door panel, you'll notice this interesting design within the Alcantara. There's also the power folding side mirrors, which are heated, all the window controls, trunk release, and then a little bit more storage, and all the adjustments for these seats, which have the S logo up top and a great bolstering support to them. And then hopping into this vehicle, we have the solid and perforated leather steering wheel, but let's take a listen to how this S3 sounds. Now up front, there's the memory seating adjustments, lock and unlock. You have your window, side mirror adjustments, and the trunk release down below. And then there's the automatic front seats, which have a nice design to them. There's one manual support or adjustment that is for the leg support there, so you can use that as needed. And then as we hop in now, we are greeted with the solid leather steering wheel. There's a red stripe up top, flat bottom design to it with all these brushed aluminum accents. But let's fire this up now, take a listen to how the 340 sounds. And coming back to the digital gauge cluster now, you'll see the tach, miles per hour, what gear you're in, and then you have some information to the left and the right. Now, if you use these controls on the left side of the steering wheel, you can further go through this information. So as you can tell, I'm scrolling through some info on the left side there that you can get into, and then you can use the arrows to further go through the top. Now, if you want to pull up the nav in full screen, simply just click on View, and now you can bring that up along with the rest of this information right in the middle. So just depending on how you want to view this information, you have 2 different ways there. There's also paddle shifters on this. There's a favorites button, volume and tuning, Bluetooth and voice commands, and then cruise and distance pacing is on that left. You get a little bit of storage on this left side with your headlight adjustments, some fog light controls. There's one air vent, another air vent on the right side, and then with the infotainment system, you have quite a lot that you can go through. So there's all of these icons that you can swipe through. If we go into vehicle, you can get into the drive select, where you can go through the different driving modes depending on how you're driving for the day. You have your driver assistance, AC you can get into, and you do have these shortcuts on the left side to get through your nav, music, and your phone. Now underneath that, there's another LCD screen where you can get through all of the climates. So you have temperature dials, fan speed, your AC controls, where you would like the air to go. This even has heated seats too, and you have a few other of those adjustments. There's a shortcut down below for the drive select, traction control with your engine start stop, The hazards, there's also a shortcut to the camera system. So you can bring this up where you have a few different views. There's also parallel parking, which is neat for this model. And then the last one is for your driving assistance. So when you bring this up, you have your park assist in order to go through some of that information. Now underneath that, there's wireless charging with 2 auxiliaries, and you have the adjustments for your volume. So just put your finger around the entire circle. That's how you can adjust volume. And then you have power, mute, and tuning. This is how you put this into reverse. So just push that forwards where you get that backup camera and the sensors. And then there's drive and sport mode and park in front of that. There's 2 cup holders in the middle, along with a little bit of storage, a 12 volt and the auxiliary. You get a little bit of storage in the armrest as well as in the glove box. And then up top, you have garage door buttons with the rear view mirror. You have your dome lights and then the sunroof too. Now with the sunroof, you can actually open the sunroof and have the sunshade remain closed. So it is perforated, as you can tell, you can see through it. So very nice feature to have, just depending on how you want to have that set up. And then here's a look at visibility. The addition of that small window back there definitely helps over the right side. And then over the left side, you can easily see over that side too. As we come back to the digital gauge cluster now, you'll notice on the left side, there's miles per hour. Right side is the tach. Now I can use this button in the middle over on the right side to go through some more of this information. So I can scroll through all of this content, just depending on how you would like to see it or what you would like to see. And then you can also go to layout. So you can change how you want to view this information if you need it in a little bit larger view, or you can go into a smaller view. Now this also has paddle shifters. There's volume tuning, Bluetooth and voice commands, and then cruise control on the left. You get all of your headlight adjustments. There's also an air vent. No head-up display for this model. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system, you have a lot more to go through. So you can get into your phone. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all your interior lighting, climate adjustments. You have a lot of icons to scroll through. On the home screen, you can go through your nav on one side, and then you can go through this info over on the left side. So it's nice to have that split view. You can get into your climate adjustments. You have your navigation in full screen. There's music. And then you can also get into the heated seats, heated steering wheel, and your temperature adjustments on both sides. There's this optional trim accent just underneath that, along with 2 air vents, some ambient lighting. You have power and volume along with tuning and defrosters. And then in the lower section, there's wireless charging, auxiliaries, and cup holders. And then you can hide all of that away as needed. You also have all these shortcuts to get through the infotainment system. So you don't have to use it as a touchscreen system. You can simply just go through all of those shortcuts. Now, if we put this into reverse, we have the backup camera along with the 360 view. There's also automatic parking and the backup assistance. So you have no shortage of visibility around this entire vehicle, just depending on what you would like to see. There's also drive and the sport mode. You have park all the way at the back. And then there's traction control along with a shortcut to the forward-facing camera, so you can pull that up in full screen. There's your parking sensors along with the engine start-stop, and then you have 3 different driving modes. So you can go into these as needed, depending on how you would like to drive and how you want the vehicle to react. There's auto hold and the e-brake. You get storage with auxiliaries, and then even more storage in the glove box. Up top, there's the garage door buttons, and then you have your controls for the sunshade and the sunroof, as those are both automatic. And then here's a look at visibility. It's pretty easy to see over both shoulders, so you have quite a lot of visibility from the driver's seat. And we're still in dynamic mode, second gear. Here we go. With a mild acceleration, we're up to speed. The shifts are also virtually non-existent. They're so smooth, you can't even feel the upshifts. And then same goes for the downshifts. Very smooth in the downshifts with the rev matching that it has built in, just to provide you with more of that luxury feel. So there's nothing harsh about the shifting, even in dynamic mode, but it's still going to give you something that is sporty and fun. So this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the new Audi S3. Definitely a nice place to be. It's also pretty easy to see around too. Like I mentioned, this is a small vehicle. A little bit hard to see the hood, which is interesting. You definitely sit low in this car, as you would expect in a sedan, but it's easy to place the car because of how small it is, and it's very comfortable even in the dynamic setting. So let's tone it back again into comfort, where we can feel a difference with the bumps in the road here. But it's a nice vehicle. Again, it's on the smaller side. So if you're not looking for a big vehicle, it's still practical for people in the back and smaller items, things like that. but it is one heck of a vehicle to drive. I think it's a really good vehicle, especially for the money. Maybe not quite going this fully loaded when you can get into an RS3 for not much more, but it's certainly a fun car. And I know my brother and his wife have really enjoyed these for the 3 that they've had total. So it's a really neat vehicle to check out. It's also quiet, well-refined feeling. There's really nothing to not like about it. And you can check out some of the hate videos they've made on it just with their personal experience. Nothing that they absolutely hate, but not every car is going to be 100% perfect. But that turn was very easy to turn around. And it is quick. I'm just babying it today. But definitely a fun car. And from sport mode second gear, here we go. It definitely sounds good even under a mild acceleration like that, and the paddles are very responsive. So this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the M340i. Definitely a great place to be. And as we put it into comfort mode now, we can still use the paddle shifters here, but the display is going to be a little bit different. And so as we get back up to speed here, you'll notice M3, or the gear that we're in, is down in the lower section there versus having it up front there a little bit more visible. But it's nice that you have the different driving characteristics. Not quite as much as the M3, but you have some of these just depending on how you feel like driving it for the day. So it gives you a few different settings to adapt to your driving style. But it's a really nice vehicle. It's a fun sedan to drive that gives you the power that you need. And then if you just want to cruise like this, you have a very nice daily driving, a luxury focused vehicle too. So like I said earlier, I think it's a good blend with this sedan, and one that's not really going to break the bank. Yes, it is expensive, but there's some other sedans that are going to be a lot more expensive, maybe have different power ratings, things like that. But you get a well-packaged sedan with the M340i. And as far as this being a good daily driver, it also has a really good turning radius too. So this is something in parking lot situations, things like that, where it's going to be very maneuverable. We may have to back up. I didn't swing that quite as wide, but if you do need to back up, you have the optional 360 camera system, which is going to be very beneficial for this. And then as we get back up to speed here, we'll let the vehicle do the shifting in sport mode. You will feel and hear a difference too. So if we go into eco mode and we do another acceleration, this is really going to limit the throttle, and you really can't hear or feel the shifts. So it's a completely different sedan between those two driving modes.
So coming back to our final thoughts now with the BMW M340i and the Audi S3. We do have a more of a base model 340 versus the fully loaded S3, and you could argue you could step up to the RS3 to better compete with the tuning potential with the 340i. My brother currently owns an RS3, and he did make a comparison video against the M340i. So you can take a look at that video as well if you would like, but I did have several requests on doing the 340 versus the S3. I've also done the 340 against the S5 too, which is a little bit different. So the S3, RS3 is more in line with being a normal sedan versus the 340. So in today's video, which model would you rather have? The 340 is going to be a little bit larger. You have a lot more tuning potential and a lot more options that you can add on to the model in today's video, being more of that base model versus that fully loaded S3. So it really just depends on the exterior styling that you like, the interior features and technology available, and if you want a little bit bigger of a vehicle with the 340 versus the Audi. So comment down below, would you rather have the 340 or the S3/RS3? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.